Hello, I am Matt Russell and I'd like to welcome you to the channel. Today's video is going to be my review of the Foreverlast Woods to Water Fish Feeder model number 125FF. The fish feeder throws the food about to the middle of our pond, which is about 50 feet. This review is in no way sponsored by Everlast, as I have purchased this fish feeder with my own money for my own entertainment and enjoyment. It is a sample of one item, so your mileage may vary. When my wife Melanie and I decided to look for a piece of property here near Lake City, Florida, we weren't really looking for a piece of property with a pond. And until we purchased this piece of property, we really didn't know how much we would enjoy the pond. After we purchased this piece of property, we started enjoying the pond, so we started watching some videos on pond maintenance and building ponds. And one of the videos that we watched was from Bama Bass, where they were talking about putting in a fish feeder. And we thought that was interesting, so we initially got a bag of fish food and we started throwing it in the pond just to see what type of reaction we would get. And by throwing it out there by hand, we might get maybe 10 pops on the water in 10 minutes. Bama Bass uses Texas Hunter fish feeders, but it's kind of hard to justify a $1,000 fish feeder when you're not even sure that you want to feed the fish in your pond. So after feeding our fish for a little while by hand, I started to look at alternatives to the Texas Hunter because of the expense, and initially I was going to buy a Moultrie fish feeder. I was having problems with one of my Moultrie cameras and had to ship it back, so my confidence in Moultrie wasn't the greatest at the moment. But I thought that it would be okay to risk about $250 on a Moultrie feeder, and I went on to Amazon to purchase the Moultrie feeder. And when I did the search for the Moultrie feeder, the Foreverlast Woods to Water feeder showed up. So after seeing the Foreverlast fish feeder show up in the Amazon feed, I did a little bit more research. Some of the reviews were a little bit concerning, of people receiving their fish feeders without belts or without motors, so that was somewhat concerning. But I did go to their website and they have every part that you might want for the fish feeder in case something goes wrong to replace it, so that made me feel a little bit more comfortable with purchasing the fish feeder. So after reading the reviews and seeing that I could get pretty much any part I needed from it from the manufacturer, I decided to go ahead and purchase my own fish feeder from them directly from their website instead of from Amazon. So on January 7th of 2023, I ordered the fish feeder, which with shipping was $523.94 with the optional battery and solar panel. I subsequently installed the fish feeder on 1/11 of 2023. The fish feeder has worked properly since installation. The only issue with its timing is it seems to lose a second every day and goes off about a second late each day. So every couple of months I go back into the clock on it and change it back so it goes off on time. We haven't stocked this pond with any fish yet. The previous owners said that they had stocked it with black crappie, but so far I haven't seen any black crappie that we've caught out of the fish pond. Our pond is mostly comprised, or was mostly comprised, of warmouth sunfish, bluegill, and bullhead catfish. And with that in mind, one should use caution in the protein level of the food that you buy, or the fish food that you buy. One time I went to Tractor Supply and the only fish food that they had was a higher protein than I had been using, and subsequently when I put it in the fish feeder, the fish didn't seem to care for it too much because it was evidently a too high a protein fish food. Using the fish feeder to feed the fish seems to be much more effective because the fish feeder goes off at approximately the same time each day. And quite regularly you can actually see the fish popping at the water before the fish feeder even goes off. And it makes a specific noise that seems to attract the fish. Because sometimes you can see the fish popping before the fish feeder ever goes off. And then prior to our otters showing up, we would see as many as 50 pops in 10 minutes whereas prior to that we'd be lucky to get 10 pops from fish hitting food in 10 minutes. Now I'm going to give my pros and cons of the fish feeder. As a pro, it's a $500 fish feeder that looks an awful lot like a $1,000 Texas Hunter. It is also made out of all metal, unlike the Moultrie feeder. It has carabiners that go on the clasps, so you don't have to worry about animals like raccoons opening the lid and getting to the food. Each one of the access panel doors for the fish feeder have latches that have carabiners on them to keep animals out. Additionally, if you look, you can see that there's a rubber seal around each one of the doors. And I've never seen any moisture on the inside of the feeder. And I've never seen any moisture on the food. Now I will give you a few cons for the fish feeder. It's not a Texas Hunter and therefore is made in China. The way that you control the amount of fish food that is thrown out by the fish feeder is by adjusting how many seconds that the fish feeder goes off. Our pond is only 1/4 of an acre, so 1 second is the minimum that you can set the fish feeder to go off. And since the otters have shown up and we don't have quite as many fish, 1 second is a little bit long. Additionally, the test mode for the fish feeder is set for 5 seconds of fish food to be distributed into the pond. And with our 1/4 acre pond, that's way too much fish food. For our small fish pond, if they could get the controller to go off at about 1/2 second, would be much more efficient. This fish feeder has been out in the elements for a year, so you do expect some wear and tear on it. If you look at the latches here, you can see a little bit of rust. This is a picture of the solar panel and the port that the food flies out. And as you can see where the solar panel is positioned, the food flies onto the solar panel and kind of gets it dirty and covers up part of the panel itself. It would be nice if they would have put multiple mounting locations for the solar panel pre-drilled in the box so that you could avoid getting the food all over the solar panel. This short video clip is a clip of the otter, or at least one of the otters that have shown up in our pond. There are 2 of them, and they have become kind of the nemesis to our fish pond because since they showed up, very few fish pop at the food. And we really haven't been catching much because I think they pretty much cleaned us out.
Squatter McOtter, what are you doing? You're back in my pond. Squatter McOtter, get out of the pond. You heard me. Where'd he go? I guess he doesn't like me. Oh, there he is. He came back. Hey, Squatter McOtter. Looks like he might come over this way. Let's see. There he is again. What are you doing, Squatter McOtter?
If you have enjoyed the content of today's video, please like and subscribe. If you think the content can be useful to one of your friends, please share. I hope you have a wonderful day.